Hello everyone, this is Jackie Williams and welcome to 2023. In this video, I want to quickly introduce you to the Fancy Flora Suite and then share a project with you. So this is what I call a mega suite. You've got two stamp sets, one with a two-step flower images and then one with words. Now the set with the words bundles with the tag dies. And then the floral set, of course, has dies to go around the images, and then also this beautiful, more background sort of die. Now, in the suite, you also have these gorgeous, gorgeous papers, and some of them have more of a floral print on the one side, and then kind of a canvasy sort of look on the other side. This suite also includes Pool Party Grosgrain ribbon, the iridescent gems, and the very fine glitter paper. And fine because it's not gritty like glitter paper normally is. It's very smooth and it's a very fine sparkle, and of course in beautiful colors that match the papers. Now for our card today, I was inspired by a card I received from Elizabeth Gross in Australia. She sent me this beautiful card for my birthday, and I was inspired to use that with some different images. So I'm going to start with a card front of Sahara Sand, and I've got my Sahara Sand ink and a blending brush. I'm just going to go a little bit around the edges. I got a little bit of ink there, but I'm not too concerned about that. That will get covered up. And then I'm going to use a piece of the beautiful Fancy Flora papers, and I'm just going to adhere a strip of that across the front like this. And before I then put that on my card front, I'm going to put on a piece of ribbon. So I've got my Pool Party ribbon here. I'm just cutting it a little bit longer than this piece and then just taping that on the back. Now we'll go ahead and put that onto our card base with dimensionals like this. Now I'm just going to set this aside. And next I want to stamp my flowers. Now notice that we are going to stamp on Sahara Sand. So this is one of the things I really liked about this card in the first place, was that rather than stamping on vanilla or white, the images were stamped on a colored cardstock. So I'm going to use the flowers, and wanted to give you also, before we start, just a little tip on lining up these flowers. So for the large flower, you can see these stamen here in the middle. So if you use those as your guide, you will get the flower going in the right direction. For this flower here, I use this little centerpiece. You can line those up together. For this one, this little three-pronged piece. And for this flower, I use that little gap there in the middle. And then this one, you have the little circles that you can line up. Also, a little tip that you may not have known before is that the way that they're pictured on the card, the way that they're pictured on the stamp case front is the upright way. So the way this one goes and the way this one's sitting on the stamp case front is the way that they line up. For example, they wouldn't picture this one right side up and then this one upside down. They would be facing, or they would be pictured the way that they're supposed to lay on top of each other. I also, another tip, find it most helpful to stamp the darker image first. So in this case, it's going to be the outline of the flower. And I'm stamping these in Calypso Coral. And then the fill for this flower, I'm going to stamp in Petal Pink. Now I'm just going to line up those stamen as best I can. And it's helpful to have that darker image because the pale image is very, very hard to see through the block. Next, I'm going to stamp my leaves, and a little tip for you to create a mask is just use the dies that come with this set. You're just going to cut out the die that matches the flower, And I've just used a piece of copy paper and just lay that over your image. It might be just slightly larger than your image, so you could just kind of move it as you use it around your image so that it lines up with the edge. And when you use the mask, then the leaves are behind your flower. And then just move it over to your next. Then I'll just take the very small heart and dots die and just fill in any little gaps. I'm using Calypso Coral again, but if you wanted to use a different color, you could. Next, I'll take that Sahara Sand ink again, and I'm just going to put a little bit around these edges. And then as an extra step, I'm going to take one of my little mini brushes and just put a little bit of soft succulent around these bottom edges where the leaves are. There's not too much there, but it's just enough to kind of fill in some gaps. And next I'll take some words from the Something Fancy stamp set and stamp that in Early Espresso. Let's go ahead and layer this up. I want to layer that onto a piece of that fine shimmer paper. But one tip, and something that I think a lot of you do already, particularly when you have specialty paper and you just want to use it as a mat, maybe just consider cutting something out of the middle. Like I've just used one of the Something Fancy label dies that I'll just use that for something else. Or you've got a few vines or something out of here just to get a little bit of use out of it. Now I've never found that glitter paper and glue work well together, so I've just used a bit of my Stampin' Seal. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this onto a piece of Very Vanilla. And then we'll put that onto our card front with dimensionals. Now, if you'd like, you can take a separate piece of ribbon and just add a little bow here on the side. It's quite nice just like that, but if you want to step it up, you could cut out another flower stamped just the same as these ones and put that up on dimensionals. Put that over top of this one, and then we could just tuck some leaves so that the leaves are going kind of out of the square, just to give it a little more dimension and interest. Something like this. There we go. And then we could also add some gems. And I love these iridescent gems that are in this suite. So I think I'll go with this one with the more coral colored gems. And then on the inside, you can put a little strip of this same paper in the same manner as the front, just a smaller piece. So here's another version that I made earlier. So this one is done on Sahara Sand, and this one here I made on crumb cake. And so it's just a slightly darker look, but I like both of them. And on this one, I used the Pool Party gems instead of the more coral gems. Now I do have a few other samples to share with you. So this is one that I made with the Two Toned Flora stamp set and the Fancy Flora papers, and mixed in the Love Cats stamp set. So we've got this beautiful cat laying in a nice bed of flowers. And then this project uses that gorgeous background die, and I just did white on white to make more of a wedding card. And the fun thing about this one is that I heat embossed those leaves onto the designer series paper, so those more solid prints actually are quite nice for stamping on as well. And then this is the same card, just done in a different colorway. And then this project, it was made by my team member, Angela Palmer. We had a team swap over Christmas, and this is what she made. And And I like that it showcases that fine glitter paper there in the background and just tone on tone again. And then finally, this card features those gorgeous, gorgeous papers. I decided to keep it really quite simple so that it didn't detract from those papers at all, and just used a bit of ribbon, the more white or clear embellishments, and just let the papers be the star of the show for this one. So there are my samples for the Fancy Flora Suite. I hope that inspires you to pull yours out and have a play. Also gives you a little more confidence lining up those flowers, and to try stamping on colored cardstock for your next project. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you have a friend who would enjoy this video, please feel free to share. And I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next video. This is Jackie Williams. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.